Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We are back to work on the 2023 R7. We just got done installing some plastics underneath and above the main and the passenger seat. This little mudguard splash shield, the side pieces that partially cover the airbox on both sides. We also threw in our main seat, and man, this thing has a ton of cushion for being a stock seat. That is super nice. They must be getting better at designing these seats. And these seats cleaned right up with some of my favorites, super clean. But now we have a very special package from NRC to open. NRC, or New Rage Cycles, makes sweet fender eliminator kits for these sport bikes. Getting rid of this hanging off the back of your bike and getting it to mount super clean and flush on the tail. As you can see, I run them on my RSV4 and my RRR Fireblade, and it moves the turn signals into these super sleek locations. Now I believe this is for the front and rear, so let's open it up and install it. And just like that, we have our New Rage Cycles fender eliminator installed and wired in. Now, last episode, you guys saw me splice in these connectors to the taillight because the taillight has integrated turn signals as well. But to be honest, I like how bright these New Rage Cycles turn signals are, so I'm gonna just not use these integrated ones in the taillight anymore, and I'm just gonna use these. And because we didn't do any modifications to the original harness, I was just able to unplug the connections from the taillight and plug in the New Rage Cycles connectors, which plugged right in to the original factory harness. And we were missing a license plate light plug, but now the New Rage Cycles kit has that, and the light is way up tucked in there on the bracket. So we are all set to go in the rear. We can put this all back together, put the ECU back in, and put the rest of the seats back on. One thing I love about these kits from NRC is they leave purposeful room behind these brackets so the wires aren't pinched, but they still look super clean from all the way back here. And they make everything as flush as possible, which just looks so good. Now, I know this license plate bracket tilt is a bit outrageous. You can barely see it from sitting right behind the seat. It's way up under there, and around here, I'll get pulled over immediately for that. So we're definitely gonna have to bend this down a little bit. But we'll worry about that once we get a license plate on this thing. Anyway, let's put this all back together. Well, here is what's left of the old bottom triple tree or steering stem, whatever you want to call it. We successfully put the new one in. Here's what the old one looks like. I really can't tell if it's bent or not. So it kind of makes me worried that I'm putting this new one in for nothing. But on the bright side, it was a lot easier to get the forks through the bottom triple up to the top triple, and I didn't need to move them forward or backward. They just slipped right through. And I did swap over the bearings, this piece, these pieces, and the steering nut, and I used our old dust shield because this one is a little bit bent. Here's one of the old bearings, and this is the old bearing for the bottom triple tree. That ladder trick to hold the frame up to slip that steering stem out comes in clutch. Now here comes the true test. The forks fit pretty well, but does the front axle with the wheel fit perfectly inside those forks? It's pretty late here, so tomorrow we're gonna install that wheel and see if we fixed the front suspension. Well, like you just saw, we got the front calipers on and they align with the rotors. So maybe the old bottom yoke or steering stem was the issue. Now, the only thing that still concerns me is this axle is in just a little bit past the fork, and I thought these were supposed to be completely flush. So is that acceptable? I don't see a way to adjust this fork and bring it in so it's flush with the axle. The wheel looks pretty straight in between those forks though. So I guess lesson learned, the bottom triple or steering stem can be bent, completely throwing off how the front axle and the brake calipers align on the bottom. So we torqued down the bottom side. Now we need to torque down the bottom bolts on this lower triple on both sides, as I left them loose for the alignment, and we already measured our space on the top of these forks and it's equal on both sides, so we should just be able to torque these down. Then we should grab some of these new fairings for the front and start adding some color to the front of this R7. And just like that, we finally have a face on this R7. Mirrors, the windscreen, the front fairing. We have the rubber grommets for the front fairing mounted on that plastic piece all the way back there. We also bolted in the front fairing there. And this thing's not going anywhere now. Now moving from the front to the rear, I noticed back here when I was putting together the tail that something looked off. It is hard to tell on camera, but the tire kind of veers off to the right a little bit. I thought something was bent. So I was looking over everything, and turns out, count the lines on this rear axle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the axle's at number 5 on the right side. And then you come over to the left side and it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So this axle isn't even aligned properly. And these rear adjustment nuts look like they have never been touched before. So I'm wondering if someone's been riding this thing with the axle being a whole line off to the right. And I wonder if that completely throws off the thrust angle on these motorcycles, or if you can barely feel the difference. Anyway, let's adjust that and get it straight. There's our first official start. With that stock exhaust, man, that's quiet. But she started right up, no problems. And now since we did that, we can check our oil and top it off. Because when we did the oil, we weren't able to start this thing, but now we can check the level. It's a little bit low. Let's top it off. Yamaha lube, the best. Down the hatch, come up a little bit. Let's add a little bit more. And we are golden. Cap going back on as we have just officially completed our oil change. We did throw on the old radiator with the fan and the old exhaust just because I really wanted to hear this thing roar. It was definitely a quiet roar, but good news, we have a full exhaust on the way here. Cannot wait to install this on the R7 and show you guys. Plus we have a brand new radiator, plus the rest of the belly fairings, and then we're gonna be able to take this thing on its very first ride. We started it so you guys can see the difference between the stock exhaust and the exhaust we have planned to throw on it. I have got a lot of exciting projects to show you guys, and we did get some parts from Italy for that Brutale 1000 RR Nürburgring edition. But that's gonna be it right now for this R7. We will catch you guys in the next one. See ya.